I am with Darren Salmon. A 5-1 win over Hanworth Villa sounds comprehensive, but in truth, it was a tricky game. We didn't look like we were firing on all cylinders for long periods. We had quite a few players who were off the boil. Mm-hmm. What was your overall take today?
I think you just saved me. You're going to say too much, Gav. Yeah, I think you're right. It sounds a comprehensive result, and I think in the end it was. And probably wouldn't have flattered us if it had been 7 or 8. But at the same time, for long periods, it was quite a close game, quite an even game. I thought we didn't really get at it today. It took a long time for us to get at it, and there was definitely some below par performances, particularly in the first 45. I just felt that we made some basic mistakes today, and I don't know what, I can't put my hand on it at the moment. Can't put my finger on why. We'll go away and we'll have a think about it, and we'll have a chat to some of the players. I don't think it was fatigue. I don't think it was complacency. I think it was probably, for some of them, just a bit of a bad day in the office.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. When you look at it, two of your more influential players today were probably two of the players who we gave a little bit of stick to on Wednesday for the Deportivo game in Marlon and Matty Farrell. Matt seems to thrive on a game with a little bit more intensity. Marlon came on with a point to prove. Both did very well today.
Yeah, absolutely. Fazza had the armband again today. And yeah, you couldn't fault his tenacity, his work rate. I thought he led, with his performance. Again, I felt at times that in the middle of the park, we still wanted to take too many touches at times, and we just slowed the game down at sort of bad times. But you couldn't fault his effort or work rate. So that was excellent. And Marlon, yeah, we had a chat with Marlon before. We wanted for him to understand the decision to not start him today. And he's really been positive today, which he wasn't on Wednesday. And he knows he wasn't good enough. And today he was, and he came on with a very positive attitude and came on with a point to make a contribution in the game. And a 20-minute hat trick, albeit Phil gave him the penalty at the end for the hat trick. He's dispatched it well.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. When you look at your side, there's one standout player today was Ollie Twum. Scored an absolute screamer, gave the fullback a torrid time, set up one of the goals, won the penalty. He's on form at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, he's certainly in a good form at a good time for us. We're constantly giving him coaching advice. But you want him to do some of the things that he does naturally and raw, and in his pace, he's obviously he's blessed with pace. Now he's also starting to utilise that to understand when to just try and beat a player with pace, when to perhaps turn the game and slow it down. Today I thought he was outstanding right from the get-go, and as you say, scored the first goal, which really kind of settled us down, I thought, in the first half and got us off the mark. Great strike.
Yeah, it was stunning. Can we just touch on the penalty for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts on that?
From where I was, I thought it was quite generous. I also thought that there was a fractious 2 or 3 minutes before it where we made a couple of what I thought looked like very, very strong challenges, but good tackles that seemed to upset their bench, which is fine. And there was a lot of vocal comments flying around, and there was contact, but I thought it was generous. Disappointing if it's given against you. Obviously, grateful when it's given for you. But the only thing for me is, it put the tin out on at 5-1 with probably more or less the last kick of the game. It didn't change the outcome.
No, it didn't. I mean, for me, you look at it and you think, not every time a big player and a little player come together is it a foul.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily a dive, it's just a coming together.
And not every tackle's a booking.
No,
and I think, unfortunately, at this level at times, we criticise officials for going to their cards too quickly or not quickly enough, and when you're on the end of one that you feel hard done by, you're going to naturally be quite irked by it. And as I said, if we'd have conceded it, I'd be disappointed. Yeah. But I think Ollie's pace was a constant threat, and Ollie maybe had just got the edge on him, and perhaps the contact was enough to. I don't know. It was. I think it was generous.
Yeah. They were a much changed side from when we played them over their place.
Yeah.
They had some tidy young players out there.
Yeah, good side.
Centre backs, centre midfielders, they could ping a ball. There's a different dynamic to the usual Hanworth Villa side.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Because we went and had a look at them, as I'm sure you'd expect, knowing that Louis had gone in there and knowing what his philosophy has been previously, and he's a good coach. So we felt they were going to move the ball around well and maybe be a bit more of a footballing side, and I think today's surface probably for a long period of time suited that. They strung this out. They were quite patient in their play. They've got a definite game plan, and you can see the way that they move, and it's well coached into them. But maybe it's still early days. I think I felt, having talked to Louis at the end, that he felt that the team capitulated, and he'd say, well, that's the first time them boys have probably been on the end of a big defeat. So they're going to have to see how they react to that now.
Yeah.
But I think that he's going to clearly try and do things the right way down there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Obviously, we have our own set of youngsters that are coming along. You played most of them on Wednesday. Left, just as we said earlier, Matty and Marlon in the side.
Yeah.
Were there any thoughts of bringing any of those players up today?
I think there's thoughts about it every game. We'd be lying if they're not part of our discussion on a weekly basis. We've got to look at this pragmatically and say, that these lads deserve their chances. They're probably not getting the amount of opportunities that we'd like them to have, because the players in front of them are generally doing well enough to keep their places. There's a core of probably 16, 17 senior players that we have, and we're not much bigger than that, in terms of our experienced personnel. But if those 16, 17 are available, it's very difficult for the youngsters to push their way through. But we will select games that will we'll mix things up. Maybe some cup games, maybe league games when we've got 2 a week, which we haven't at the moment. So there would be no benefit for us in resting the first team players because we need them kind of firing on all cylinders. And a lot of the 23s are nicking minutes midweek for the 23s.
Okay, that's fair enough. We move on next week and a little trip down to Nap Hill. They've been in a decent run of form of late. Another team with a new manager gone in there.
Absolutely, yeah.
It'll be a tough game.
Yeah, we seem to meet all the teams in transition.
We do. It's it just seems to be our thing this year.
Yeah.
What are your plans for that? I mean, obviously we've got a couple of injury worries. We should have a few players back off suspension.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I don't know much about Nap Hill at the moment, yeah. So I shall speak to Don or Adam, and I guess we some of those guys, we get out and watch quite a few games, so I'm sure we'll have some intel on what the new regime at Nap Hill is doing. But we'll set up to be strong. It's probably a slightly different mindset when you go away, especially to an unknown quantity, because we know what we expect to do at home.
Yeah.
I think we are. I think now we're acclimatised to the conditions. We know the facilities, the pitch, the ground. It doesn't intimidate us anymore. It was a curse when we first came. A blessing in terms of being in their surroundings, but a curse in terms of everyone else raised their game and we didn't, and we weren't playing football that really kind of suited the surroundings and the surface. I mean, now we do. Now we move the ball much quicker. We play a pretty definitive style of our own. But away at Nap Hill will be a different challenge, and every team continues to want to knock you over when you're at the top or near the top.
Yeah, they do. But the one thing we know about next week, it will be a decent playing surface. It always is when we go down there. I mean, I think back in the old Division 1 days, we went down there last game of the season, and it's like a bowling green. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's always a good pitch. Cool. Well, thank you very much, mate, and we will catch up next week.
Thank you, Gary.